Kevin, just when you're designing things, where do you draw inspiration from for the creative pieces of your presentations?
Or even your books, your illustrations too,
Yeah,
you know?
Mhm.
yeah. Um, so I'm just kind of looking here at my notes. Yeah, so inspiration for me is definitely, the world around me, the things that I like and the things that I think are funny. So, I mean, I love movies, I love sports. I really try to keep my finger on the pulse of pop culture. I think that's important. If you're a teacher, keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going on with students, what do they like, what are they into now, and then um, using those ideas for inspiration. Sometimes I feel like in education specifically, there's a disconnect between the world we live in and then the education and the classroom that we attend. And so if we can help sort of bring some of those things that students are doing outside of the classroom into the classroom in visuals, whatever, I think that's really that's kind of where I get my inspiration, and I'm on social media quite a bit. So I use Instagram. I love Instagram for inspiration. I follow artists and illustrators and teachers. And yeah, I just feel like that's a great source for me for getting inspiration for things.
Are there specific tools that can help, or software applications that you think help to bring your inspirations to life?
Yeah, I do. So I'm a Mac user. So all of the presentations that I build, I use the presentation tool on the Mac Keynote. So it'd be similar to PowerPoint. I like Keynote. It's just the way the interface works, how you can control the position of things on your screen. I love it. It's just the workflow is really easy for me. Um, but the graphics tool that I feel like um, has taken us by storm in some ways is Canva. So Canva has just, it's a web-based graphics tool. I feel like most people have heard about it or know about it. And they have done such a good job of helping people create good visuals by doing things like giving them templates. They have really good kind of education materials that you can learn about, like how do you select fonts, and they do things like helping you select color palettes and doing helping you remove the background of images so that things fit together better. So I feel like Canva is just an amazing tool for that's easy to use, low cost. That's one of the nice things about this. At one point when we had graphics tools, it was like you had to be a professional graphic designer and have Photoshop or Illustrator. And now those things are still great for professionals, but for teachers, for people that are creating presentations now, things like Canva, they're just awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's very I personally love Canva as well, and I've used it a ton, and Jeremy has used it as well. And I feel like the one thing that is nice about that tool as well is I feel like anybody can dive into that tool. It's extremely accessible, and while they have a mass of things that are available to you, I've never in any way felt like it's overwhelming. Like I feel like I've been able to, work through the different things that they have or upload my own stuff, and I like it a lot.
And here's an interesting thing about that. Like, I feel like I feel like at one point everybody used PowerPoint. That still maybe is the majority. Maybe the majority of people use PowerPoint, but in some ways, PowerPoint led us down this path of lots of text and lots of bullet points.
Yeah.
It was almost like
Mhm.
their initial templates were like, here's your title, and here's this huge block, and we've got it set up so you can use 20 bullet points. But Canva is really different than that, right? I feel
Mhm.
like Canva is based on better visual designs. So just people without having any training, you just end up with things that look better. So yeah, I think it's a great tool for everyone. And like you said, I mean, so easy. I have elementary students can learn to use Canva and start to, and I think teaching even young students about visual design is important.
Yeah, and it's funny because as a teacher, when I taught, I always use PowerPoint. at, you know, early on, and
Yep.
for college as well. And then I feel like Google was big, so then I moved to Google Slides, and I use Google Slides primarily, and now I've abandoned all of it entirely, and I make pretty much everything in Canva. So
Yep.
it's been interesting, just like riding
Yeah.
that wave.
Yeah.
So,
So the other, you know, another tool that I do use, and I see these tools, this happens a lot with tech tools. I feel like they continue to add features and they sort of start to, you know, merge, you know, they kind of start to look similar. But the tool that that I used to use a lot with my students was Adobe. It started out as Adobe Voice, and then it was Adobe Spark, and now it's Adobe Express. And I don't know if you've looked at Adobe Express, but the interface looks very similar to Canva. And the edge that I would give Adobe Express over Canva is like in some of their video creation tools that are in there. You can do a better job, I feel like, with adding audio, and you can really do more almost like, you know, very basic video editing in Adobe Express. Canva has video features, but I feel like that's an area that isn't great yet on Canva. But anyway, I feel like as these tools sort of compete for users, they just continue to add features and they just get better and better.